everyone, and a very good day to you all. I hope you are doing well and ready for another exciting journey into the literature. Today, we are exploring A.K. Ramanujan's thought-provoking poem, Self-Portrait. This poem is a quiet yet profound reflection on identity, self-perception, and the struggle to define who we truly are. Through simple language, vivid imagery, and subtle irony, Ramanujan reveals the tension between how we see ourselves and how we are shaped by others, inviting us to question the very nature of individuality. So let's begin our exploration of this remarkable poem. First, let's move to the introduction of the poet. A.K. Ramanujan is one of the very reputed poets from India whose poetry has got worldwide acknowledgement because his poems are either replete with the humanistic approach or his poems have autobiographical elements. He was a poet, translator, playwright, and folklorist. There are so many themes in his poems such as the search for self, nostalgia, autobiographical elements, Indian sensibility, and so on. The central idea of the poem, Self-Portrait. The central idea of the poem is the need for creating our own identity. The poet well describes the fact that in today's modern world, we are suffering from an identity crisis as we are more concerned about copying others. We tend to forget the fact that each one of us has a unique personality and we must make adequate efforts to groom our own personality. The quest for creating our individuality is a must. But while creating a perfect image of ourselves, we should never forget where we started from. A perfect balance must be made between where we started from and where we are today. The fact cannot be denied that our past is responsible in shaping and creating our present. So, it must be taken care of. We must learn from our past while considering our present, so that a perfect identity of ourselves can be created. The style of the poem. The style of Self-Portrait is simple yet profound, using free verse without rhyme or meter to mirror the poet's fragmented identity. The tone is introspective with short, crisp lines that create a conversational flow. Expressions like, I resemble everyone but myself, highlight the ambiguity of selfhood, while the minimal diction and unembellished imagery give the poem a modernist touch. Through this understated style, Ramanujan effectively portrays alienation and the struggle of defining one's identity amid overlapping influences. Tone of the poem, Self-Portrait. The tone of the poem is melancholic. The inability of the poet to find his own identity makes him sad. Despite the fact that the poet is looking at himself in the mirror, he sees the reflection of someone completely unknown to him. This raises many questions in his mind, some of which he is unable to answer. A dilemma of thoughts blurs his mind. After this, let's move to the analysis of the poem from different perspectives. A.K. Ramanujan's Self-Portrait is a compact yet multi-layered poem that explores the complexity of identity in a modern, post-colonial and diasporic context. To fully appreciate its depth, one must consider Ramanujan's biography, the tensions of third world diaspora, the dilemmas of modern society, the pervasive influence of consumerism, and Jacques Lacan's concept of the mirror stage. Today, these perspectives illuminate the poet's search for selfhood amid cultural, psychological, and societal fragmentation. The poem begins with the speaker's assertion, I resemble everyone but myself. This opening line encapsulates the modern individual's crisis of identity. In a society shaped by external pressures and imitative values, individuality is often overshadowed by the desire to conform. The poet's personal narrative is reduced to what Jean Francois would call micro-narratives. subsumed under larger cultural meta-narratives that dictate how one should appear and behave. Ramanujan's persona reflects not a unique self, but a composite of others, shaped by norms and fashions that ultimately obscure authenticity. This explains why he sometimes sees in shop windows only the portrait of a stager. The imagery of shop windows is particularly significant as it links the poem to the discourse of consumerism. A shop window is both a site of display and deception, where identity is mediated through commodities. The speaker's sense of self becomes tied to consumer goods like clothing, possessions, lifestyle, which society deems essential markers of individuality. Yet these markers, far from revealing the true self, only reproduce a socially constructed image. By placing the portrait of a stranger in the shop window, Ramanujan critiques how consumer culture shapes and distorts personal identity, reducing individuals to product within a market-driven world. This distortion is further underscored by the line, "Despite the well-known laws of optics." The phrase evokes both scientific rationality and its subversion. Mirrors should, by the laws of optics, reflect the reality faithfully. Yet here, the mirror produces estrangement. This paradox resonates with Lacan's theory of mirror stage, in which the infant first recognizes itself in a mirror, but the image is not a true reflection of its chaotic, fragmented psyche. Instead, it is an illusionary whole imposed from outside. Similarly, Ramanujan's speaker realizes that the image he sees is not his own, but a distorted construct, a simulation of identity shaped by external expectations rather than inner truth. The diasporic context deepens this crisis. Ramanujan, born in an Orthodox Hindu family in Mysore and later living and working in the United States, inhabited a space between cultures. The phrase, date unknown, reflects this displacement, where the poet's origins are blurred, neither fully rooted in the past nor fully defined by the present. This fractured temporality creates a double consciousness, the memory of tradition on one hand and the demand of modernity on the other. The result is a doppelganger-like existence, in which the poet perceives himself as both subject and stranger. Equally important is the motif of patriarchy, crystallized in the line, "Often signed in a corner by my father." Here the portrait becomes not an independent self-image, but one inscribed by paternal authority. In patriarchal societies, identity is often inherited rather than self-created, particularly for sons whose lives are shaped in the likeness of their fathers. This symbolic signature suggests both legacy and confinement. The speaker cannot escape the father's influence, which dictates who he is supposed to be. This creates psychological unease, not necessarily literal castration anxiety in the Freudian sense, but a more general anxiety about being reduced to the miniature reproduction of the father. The self therefore feels alienated, trapped within an inherited image rather than free to define itself. Through these layered lenses, consumerism, diaspora, and psychoanalysis in patriarchy, Ramanujan's self-portrait emerges as a profound meditation on alienation and identity in the modern world. The speaker is caught between appearance and reality, past and present, tradition and modernity, personal desire and external authority. His identity is fragmented, simulated, and inscribed by others, leaving him a stranger to himself. Ultimately, the poem reveals the paradox of the modern existence. The more we search for individuality, the more we confront the absence of a stable, authentic self. In this sense, the poem powerfully demonstrates that the importance of the self in the modern world is defined less by presence than by absence, less by recognition than by estrangement. That's it for today. Thank you so much.